are riding the funk train tonight solo. And I feel so low that I am solo because my friend, you know him, John Stoll the second. God bless his pea picking heart. He is he's hurting. He's sick. He lives in Toledo, you know. I tell him, quit letting the rat crawl all over you. Quit licking the sewer pipes underneath the pad. I mean, Toledo is a nasty place, baby. And I got to just say, man, John is sick. And in fact, he's so sick, he crapped his bed. And maybe I should have said that out loud. Maybe he'll get angry at me for that. But anyway, no, he didn't crap his bed. I'm just lying. Let's pretend that didn't happen. But, he's not feeling well. So if anybody is religious or nice, just say some prayers, give some thoughts, and happy, warm, sunshiny beams of Atari joy up into the universe, because John definitely he deserves it, man. He's a sweet guy, and he doesn't deserve to be sick. Simulcast. Oh, we got Jolt. I like this. Let's check this out. We're going to show this here. I'm watching the podcast on a Simon, which I thought for a second was one of those. You had one of those four. I was like, I don't know how you guys rigged that. The little Simon Says memory game from the 70s. But he's talking about simulcast. He's got the big and funky production on the iPad, the Atari Network on the iPhone, and he's got it from our third website on the iPod. He brought that thing out. And yeah, I hope John feels better too. I mean, this was what's crazy. And don't turn off, because this is going to be a fine show. And there's a lot of people watching this on John's network. John's network is the Atari Network. Mine is Big and Funky Productions, which we do a whole bunch of stuff. He focuses only on Atari. So if you're sitting here going, who is this really weird guy with this fantastic hat? By all means, it's his co-host for the show, and frankly, I've created John in my image. He came to me 6 months ago and was like, I don't think I can do YouTube stuff and me. And I was like, you're fine. And he's blown up, and people love John's channel, and John's channel is rocking the free world. And he's a great co-host for a podcast. And I couldn't ask for a better one. I miss him. I wish he was here. I think I'm going to cry tiny tears in between breaks tonight. Let's see what we got here. They need to release those new Game Station Pro modern controllers ASAP. That's coming from old school comp sci. Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about products for 2024. A bunch of stuff's coming out this year, and since I don't have a dancing partner tonight, y'all, I need you guys to be active in the chat as much as possible to make this more fun. I can talk for 6 hours straight. If you've ever seen one of my movies, it's just basically me and my tag team partner just talking for hours with occasionally some boobs, and somebody gets body slammed occasionally. But yeah, let's make this thing popping. In fact, this was what John wanted to do this episode. This was his episode. He was like, I want to do the products, but I've done some research here. I was going to lean on him, but now he's leaning on me here. This is what brotherhood is all about. This is what the Atari brotherhood is all about. Oh, I forgot to grab it. Sabretooth sent me a VCS mag. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can get the Finbot in here. Hey, Finbot. Hold on a second. These computer robot women. Can you come here for a second? Yeah. You got to program these Finbots. They're beautiful creatures, but gosh, sometimes they are slow. So I want to show you this because this is awesome, and this is part of the renaissance, the rebirth of Atari. And I think you guys know I'm a New York Jets fan. Hello there, Finbot. Don't spill water on yourself. Can you hand me that magazine right there that's underneath Zangief? Yeah, thank you very much. You'll get more oil tonight, I promise. All right, so this is what Sabretooth and Club VCS sent me. Is the fun back? I don't know. My front's more fun than my back, but it depends on what clubs I go to. But this is an awesome. I know this is kind of old, but this has been out there for a time, and this is an awesome magazine. This is what I'm talking about. There's so much energy right now in the community that there's people self-producing magazines. Again, the recharged. There is an article here that ranks all the Atari recharge games, and there's interviews, there's high scores, there's reviews of Quantum Recharge, and this is advertisement for Video 61 with their weird comics. I did a comic book thing. I did the laminated comic review on my channel where I went over the comic strips that the Video 61 sends out with their games, and I should have included their advertisement. Let's read what this says here. I'm not actually going to do that because I can't see. It's dark in here. But this magazine is awesome, dude. I mean, check it out. If any of these become available, by all means, there's a guy here from I don't know, what is that? Beyond Thunderdome? He's from something. Anyway, thank you, Sabretooth, for this magazine. I can't wait to read it. This week has been insane. In fact, here's like an Atari VCS Hall of Heroes. Drilling Joe is at the top for a lot of these things. I hope he keeps that up. He keeps producing this thing. I'm in the top 10 on about 4 games, and I'm going to be coming at you. There's some of these I can't even. How people are good at Cavern of Mars is insane. I'm just like 90th on the list. But yeah, Sabretooth, you're awesome. Let's see what we got here. Pierre, hello guys. We got Disco Stew. That's me. Big Funk in the chat. That's what we're doing, Jerome. Jerome! I'm in the house, Morris. 2 new VCS games. Yes, we're going to talk about that. Where can we get that magazine? I don't know if it's out of print. Sabretooth lives on Twitter. I think his name is Sabretooth Radio. He has a good presence on Twitter, and there's another forum. I know most people talk about AtariAge, and AtariAge is terrific. There is another forum that is smaller, and it's kind of like, the guys in the corner smoking the cigarettes, where everybody in AtariAge is at the cafeteria. They're kind of in the background. Yeah, man. They are in the corner, and they're called AtariIO, and I think Sabretooth has a really big presence in AtariIO, and you just join the forum. You Google search Atari.io and look for Sabretooth, and you'll see him because he's active on there, especially on the VCS forums that they have, the Atari VCS 800. And you just send him a message, see what he says. Hit the likes. Yeah, that's something we need to do more of. I always hate that. The one thing I hate about YouTube is how everybody hit subscribe and hit the likes and notify, hit the bell, and we'll do that. Hey, do it. It helps us out. It builds these algorithms. That's what all this is. John has a lot of people watching him now, but he deserves more. He just released a great controller review video for the Atari 7800, which there's a lot of crazy Atari 7800 controllers out there because people don't like the Pro lines. So people have come, hobby programmers have come, and they have come down the pike with a bunch of interesting controllers. In fact, we're going to talk about that later in the show when we're talking about the products for 2024. And yes, so without further ado, let's talk about these products here. And John wanted to do a show today that basically we're going to sit there and forecast what we want to see, our thoughts on what's coming out that we know of, and what we don't want to see. So everybody in the chat, hit us up here. But I guess we're going to go for the home run right off the bat. I think most people are excited, or one of the most interesting things to come out is the Atari 400 Mini. I got to tell you, if you're a fan of movies, which everybody I think in this channel and stuff knows that I make movies, and I got good news about that today. My 2 latest movies are actually going to be released on Tubi, which is they pay the best, and a lot of people have access to that channel. And those movies are Camp Smokey and Vinny's Fantastic Rock and Roll Adventure, which another company made. But anyway, if you watch movies, and especially you just realize in the last 15 years or so, we had a lot of superhero movies. And I think there really is a superhero fatigue going on. Like, I don't care about all these minor superheroes. I don't want to see them. I'm just exhausted. And I think Atari is risking in a little bit the same way that they're going to, in other Atari adjacent systems, they're going to start releasing too much junk. We know the 2600 is awesome. We all have nostalgia for it. The 2600 Plus, I think, has been a big hit. However, you got to watch out, man. You release the same thing over and over and over again. I mean, they've done that with the flashback. It's going to wear everybody out. So that's where the Atari 400 Mini is interesting. It is a miniature Atari 400 8-bit computer. Now, doing some research here, I think what's awesome about this is it comes with a USB port where you can put 8-bit games, all the computer games, and 5200 games into the USB port and play that on this little tiny 400 Mini. It's basically an Atari computer. Now, it does not have, it's not compatible with Atari ST games. Those are the 16-bit games. But it comes also with 25 preloaded games like Star Raiders 2, Lee, it said, Millipede, and etc. It's coming out in mid-March, and that's $119, which I think, and it comes with a joystick that looks like an Atari joystick, the Atari 2600 joystick, and it's got 4 ports in the front. You can attach a keyboard to it and a mouse if you want to. So that one seems price point very good, interesting, because it's going to open up a whole library of games. And I'm not an expert on the Atari computer stuff. I'm a 7800 guy, but maybe a lot of these 8-bit homebrews will be available on that too. I hope so. That would be kind of awesome. Let's see what we're saying in the chat here. 7800 homebrew games have been totally awesome on the VCS. I've been playing EXO lately. Well, that's good, Jerome. If you watch my channel, which is Big and Funky Productions, when I do a VCS review, I rank all the VCS games. And EXO, which is a 7800 game too, I think is currently my top game. It will be usurped in a future review. John's review was awesome. I couldn't say it better myself. He did use some of my handsome footage for the Ed Latin controller, and a couple that a German company gave me a couple of 7800 controllers from Germany, which were really cool too. Let's see what we got here. What do we say? I'm in the grocery store right now. I'm trying to get out home watching on my iPhone. That's dedication. Thank you. That's Justin. We were talking about your channel. You were more dedicated than John right now. John is pooping his bed in Toledo, Ohio, because he had food poisoning because he was eating Cheetos he found on a Subway or something, or an old corn dog stuck under somewhere. You're more dedicated to him. He's really sick, though. Yeah, the 400 Mini looks awesome. I'm going to get it. I told my wife, this was so funny. I told her the other day, I was like, there's nothing I want. I go home, and Atari sent me an email, and it was like, hey, the 400 Minis is ready to go. And I'm like, damn it. I lied to my wife. Yeah, they're limited. I don't know why I'm stuttering over that. I'm not nervous. They need to focus on IP. Well, we'll talk about that in a second. I think that's what we're doing. If you watch my review of my Atari Mania review that I posted a week ago, I think that was a genius move. They did that game in 2022, and it started to set up Pete from Outlaw as a character. It set up Bentley Bears from Crystal Quest. Haunted House, the Eyeballs, now named Warren. Player 1 from Dark Chambers is now named Adam. So I think what they're doing is they're going to start doing Super Smash Brothers / Mario type games, and it's just how it's going to roll out from here on out. Food fight, culinary combat, same kind of idea. So yeah, I think they're about to lean into their IPs, man, and that's what they need to do. They were the original Nintendo. They had the original characters, and they let Nintendo run with that. And Nintendo's made $80 billion doing that. I think I will buy the Atari 400 Mini. I think that's one of the best things looking at down 2024. I do agree. I'm not getting a 4,000. A 4,000. Oh, a 400. You're not getting one. Why not? Are you scared of it? I can understand it. Crypto coffee. It's so cool to see an Atari product, the 2600 plus, stimulate interest in 7800 games, controllers, and homebrews. Well, John and I astutely, if you might say that, a couple of podcasts ago said this thing really is 7800, but they don't. They know nobody knows what a 7800 is. That's why the first flashback had a really tepid response. So they went back, called it 2600 plus, which is really what a 7800 is anyway. And they leaned into that. So yeah, I can't wait. Like if you actually have 7800 games right now, sell them on eBay. I mean, things like Hat Trick and Tower Toppler and Donkey Kong are selling for like $40 loose right now. It's great. All right, the Atari Mini is a winner, it looks like. You can keep chatting in the chat. Here's something I'm going to throw you a curveball since we're a 78. Me and John met on Lover's Lane and about the Atari 7800. There's a new game called Ducks Away, and it's an Atari 7800 game that requires some sort of, and I can't remember the name of it, I forgot to write it down, but it's a multiplayer, controller hub, and the name escapes me. But it's the world's first Atari 7800 multiplayer lightning game, and one of only a handful in the world that is a 4-person Atari, or excuse me, only a certain number in the world that is a 4-person multi-light gun game. And this thing's called Ducks Away, and I didn't write down who made it because I'm an idiot. But there's certain things I watched on the Zero Page Homebrew channel. If you guys haven't checked them out, they're really cool. Canadian. Well, they're cool for Canadians. I mean, Canadians can only be so cool. But there's 4 people up there playing this game, and they were explaining problems they were having with the game. Now, one of my problems, John's from Toledo, I'm from Baltimore. This game has pop guns to scare the ducks away. We're not going to shoot them because we live in 2024, and I guess you just can't shoot fake crap on a TV screen anymore without people getting upset. There's actually a website called doesthedogdie.com. Check it out. My movies are on there, and people are triggered by all sorts of things. People don't like animals getting killed. So that's what this thing does. If you're somebody sitting at home and they can be triggered easily, they look and go, oh my God, I hope the dog doesn't die, or I hope somebody doesn't get choked, or I hope a hand grenade doesn't go off, or loud noises, or domestic violence. And they can go to this website and see what the triggers are for this movie. So whoever made this game was triggered by actually killing the ducks. The coolest thing about the game that I saw is somebody actually can control the dog, and the dog can also scare the ducks away from your garden. You're protecting a garden. There's no audio right now. It's a very interesting concept, but even with 4 people who were sitting on a sofa with their arms like this, the people on the edges, the people on the outside were having hard times keeping score. The other thing is, too, the Atari light gun is horribly inaccurate. They were never made well. And who has 4 friends and 4 Atari XE guns? I don't know who this game is for. And the worst thing about it is it blinks like a mother effer. I mean, if you don't have epilepsy, you will by the end of playing a round or 2 of that game. My hat's off to whoever made that. I think it was an interesting, great idea. I'm not looking forward to that. I don't think that's going to be a very popular game, but good luck to you, brother. Let's see if we got any comments. Got a couple. Let's see what they say. Crypto Coffee says, at first, that game 7800 mini is terrible to play. Looks like $1,000. Plays like 10 cents. That game's been much better with those flashbacks over the years. Jerome definitely will never kill any dogs in any movie. Let's see. That is a fantastic hat, by the way. I'm going to tell you, nobody should ever buy me a hat for a present because my head is huge. This thing is too small for my head. I'm a pro wrestler, and I don't wrestle very much anymore, but fans would always buy me funky hats, and they never fit my head, and they would always slide all over the place. With that hat on, I look like a drug-free Artie Lang. I'm gonna take that as a compliment. I'm about 100 pounds lighter than Artie Lang, but thank you. Anyway, let's go to the next one here. Atari's official 2600 plus 2-button controller. So we're talking about the 2600 plus essentially being 7800 or 7800 being a 2600 plus back in the day. And yeah, if you're going to play Atari 7800 games on your 2600, you need a 2-button controller. So I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if they're going to go back. Does anybody know what the design looks like for that? Is that going to be like a pro line that hurts everybody's hands? Or are they going to go with a more conventional gamepad? I'm curious to see. It's a compliment. Well, thank you, honey. I appreciate it. I knew it was, dude. I'm just joking with you. You got to understand I'm a jokester. But yeah, does anybody know what the Atari, and we're talking about buying the damn thing off the Atari website, the 2-button 2600 plus controller, and I know they're probably going to lean in heavy with 7800 multi-card. That's what I'm thinking, and it's not official yet, but we're thinking, people are like, oh, wow, I'm playing Pitfall and Asteroids and Adventure on the 2600 plus. They're the superior 7800 games, especially the home brews. People are going to get their mind blown away with what they can find. So, yeah. All right, let's see. If anybody knows what that 2600 plus 2-button controller looks like, please tell me. I'd like to know. Let's see. What do we got here? Oh, this is something that John was really excited about. My Arcade, which has released a lot of great stuff lately, and a lot of interesting stuff with Atari and other brands, they're releasing a bunch of new things. Again, they're releasing something called the Mega Player and the Super Player. Have no idea what those things are. And again, just seeing these words makes me trepidatious because I'm like, God, are we releasing too much shit? That's what I'm worried about. Because eventually people are going to quit buying everything. But what is exciting is they have a Game Station portable, and John was going to have a graphic shown up. 9 inches, hey baby, 9-inch screen. And it's a portable system that's going to be able to have a paddle. And a guy that was reviewing it says it's not really a spinner because you can't spin it like in Tempest, but you can control it kind of like Super Breakout. And there's a trackball on it. So you're talking about in 4 buttons. So you're talking about an Atari game with USB capabilities, so that you can expand the list that's on there already, with paddle support and trackball support. Wow. And that's going to be portable. So, I mean, that's really, really, really cool. You get on a plane, you can horse around with that. The other thing they're doing that's interesting, and this isn't for me, but if I wasn't married and I didn't care about savings and leaving some sort of inheritance to my funk babies, I would buy stuff like this, but I just won't. They're re-releasing the Atari 50 tabletop game which is like the little tiny thing. But they're releasing that. They already released that like last year, or the year before, the Atari 50th version. But they're re-releasing it with the trackball and the paddle on it too. Now I don't know what grown man. I'm not as heavy as Artie is Coffee Man, Java Man just said, but I'm still too big to sit there and play tabletop games for high scores. I mean, they're a novelty to me. Let's see if we got any comments here. Again, if you guys please participate in the chat because John is not here, and we definitely want some interactions. It's just not me just talking to the screen. I definitely want an official Atari controller for the 7800 on the Plus. Well, there's a lot of dude, and I was going to talk about this in a minute, but John he just released on the Atari Network YouTube page an awesome video going over all the 7800 controllers, and there's a new one by Hugo, man, that looks pimp. When you see a picture of it online, you're like, oh my god, this is huge, but it's the size of the CV. I think that's what their CX 2600, whatever the old, the old ones that used to come with the 2600, and it's got two big ass buttons on the side, and it looks. I want to hold it in my hand and play it because it looks crazy. And John said it played really, really good. But you'll be able to use that on the 2600 Plus. I'm very interested to see, like we said before, what Atari is going to release. Similar to the Pro line, hopefully, with improvements. Something new would be great and probably more welcome. A lot of people don't like the Pro line. I do, but here's the thing that is something that we don't think about. My age, as I'm getting older, the Pro lines are hurting me now. Used to, they never did. But now I'm starting to feel like the arthritis kind of gimmick if I'm holding it. So, yeah, there's only a couple games that I think the Pro lines are better for. One of them is Bentley Bear Crystal Quest, and I think Bob made that game on purpose for the Pro lines because there's three inputs. You have to chord two buttons to make them jump really high, and the Pro lines are great. It's better than a pad. But I like the Pro lines too. Maybe something more ergonomically correct. That my arcade Atari iPad thing looks awesome. I agree. Oh, hello, brother. Cranaball. Good evening. I want to say thank you for a great controller video. It was quite revealing for me as I'm not well versed in Atari stuff. Well, this will confuse you. I'm not the guy that did that video. I'm in that video. I'm his podcast partner. He has botulism. He's got stuff flying out of every orifice. Say a prayer for that man. But he's my podcast partner. So if this is your first time watching the podcast, go back and watch a couple others. You'll get to see our rapport. I'm kind of the loudmouth. I want an official trackball controller for the VCS. That's a good point. All the stuff they're re-releasing, they kind of focused on the spinner and the paddle with the classic controller and stuff. Yeah. Even in my review that I put on my channel about Food Fight, you can play Crystal Castles, but there is nothing worse than playing Crystal Castles with a joystick. I mean, that's like trying to drive a Lamborghini with your butthole. It's terrible. Be right back. Food time, playa. We'll get your food and come back. Any new trackball controller will be fantastic for the VCS. And then Jerome says, yeah, my hands got ruined a long time ago on the Sega Genesis controllers. I can't use D-pads anymore. Wow. My favorite way to play is with the Genesis controller with the Ed Laddin or the Seagull adapter for the Atari 7800, man. I tear those up. I still like those. All right. Let's see what the next gimmick is that we have on our product. We're looking at the products here. I don't know much about this, but QOMP 2 is releasing, and anybody smarter, this is a game. There's a couple games Atari has released, and this is a game that is turning the Pong ball into a character. In fact, they did an interview with him on the Atari Twitter account. If you don't have Atari Twitter, check that out. And it's pretty funny. They have like a British inside the actor's studio kind of voice going, how are you doing now? And the guy's like, hey, I'm the ball from Pong. I'm one of the most famous video game characters of all time. Well, QOMP 1 and QOMP 2 are platformers that use the ball to bounce around like crazy go nuts. And the thing, it looks fine to me. I mean, it looks, it's black and white with some blue. It looks good. I don't know why these games aren't being released on the VCS. They're released on Steam, the Switch, Xbox, PlayStation. This is not a three-dimensional, flying through the universe, shooting people left and right with laser guns. This is a damn Pong game. And I hope they release it. There's a game called Pong Quest that's on the Switch, it's like a little story of like Pong paddles, and they're all like, "Hey, we're living in a castle and stuff." It's like that kind of gimmick. And I hope they don't have it released that on the VCS. I don't understand sometimes what they do, but hey, I'm not the big brain up there in Atari land. I'm not Wade Rose, but I would slide that on over to I'd slide that on over to the VCS. I don't think that'd be too hard. And likewise, here's another one. Keep those comments coming. I don't want to sit here and talk to the screen by myself. Lunar Lander Beyond. Now, they're leaning heavy in this, and a company called, let's see who the company is. What is that? Oh, and by the way, QOMP 2 is released on February 20th. Lunar Lander Beyond doesn't have a release yet that I have seen, but Atari Dreams, Atari and Dreams Incorporated and Epic Games, the people that do Fortnite, among other multi-online games, multiplayer games. They've been releasing this cartoon, this Saturday morning 80s cartoon looking trailer. They have put a lot of work into. There's a lot of voice acting, and it's a two-dimensional game. Again, that's not being released to the Atari VCS. That kind of grinds my gears. But it looks pretty interesting. I mean, again, somebody earlier said that Atari should be leaning into their IPs. They're really going back and digging up games that if I was the president, I would have forgot about. I mean, they released a Sprint game, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I forgot about Sprint. Lunar Lander is another one of those, and it's another – looks like it's like a Gravatar, or if you've got a Jaguar, the Gravitic Mines, terrible name, Gravitic Mines, Gravatar, which probably everybody, Gravatar Recharge. It's one of those games, it's 2D, and it's tough to, if you're familiar with the second part of Vector Sector on the 50th celebration, you got a ship and you're trying to finagle it around the caverns. Looks cool. They're putting a lot of time and effort in this, but I really hope they bring that over to the VCS as well, because it does look really awesome. Has anybody got any comments about either of those two games? Oh, yeah. Well, this is nice. Thank you. I've been on Funkmaster 7800 website lately. It's been a wealth of 7800 info. Well, thank you. And I spent probably about 2 weeks ago, I spent about 9 hours updating the website. And I was going to talk about this later, but we'll talk about it since you brought it up, Jolt, and I appreciate the compliment. But John has a brand new Delta Space Arena for Video61 review that I'm going to put on the website and kind of integrate it, because we boast that we have reviewed every 7800 game. We're real close. We lie a little bit. Lately, Funkmaster ranks the Video61 laminated comic strip instruction manual, which Justin said that the people at Video61 saw, and they're going to take the criticisms I had and improve the comic strips, which that's cool. I just kind of thought it was a funny article. We reviewed Dungeon Stalker, Nova Wolf. We talked about all of the box art for Save Mary that's popped up over the years. And we've added a ton of cool codes. So if you've got the Atari 2600 Plus and you're playing these old 7800 games, these are all the codes I posted lately. Planet Smashers, very tough 7800 game. God Mode, I'm telling you, you're invincible Planet Smashers. You can play as a Dragon of Thorns and Dragon Cash, which is also on the VCS. Stage Select for Dragon's Havoc, also on the VCS. Start with 11 Lives in Venture, talking about Video61. Easter Egg for Joust. Ninja Golf, Hidden Joystick Test, which I never understood what the point of those were. We go into where the couple of the warps for Bentley Bear's Crystal Quest. Level select and more on Adventures of Ollie Troll, like you get to see the ending and the boss battles and all that stuff. And we reviewed Artie. I'm doing a review of Pluto's, which is right over my shoulder, which is an excellent game. But yeah, go over there and check out Atari7800forever.com. There's a lot of new content over there. Let's see. Lunar Lander looks great. However, I thought it looked a lot like Thrustlander on the VCS. I'm unfamiliar with Thrustlander. That's hard to say without saying it sounded like you got a bunch of boy goo in your mouth. Thrustlander. I got to check that out. Yeah, bud, they watch your reviews and care about your show. Well, now listen. John hated Delta Space Arena, and he gave it a terrible review, and he felt bad about it. But I don't think Delta Space Arena is nearly as bad as what John did. I just haven't had time to review it, so his review's going to go up. And tell them I think it's better than what John thought, because if you talk to him, because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but yeah, John really hated it. He hated it from the get-go. Tell him I love Animal Catcher, though, or Animal Keeper. That game, the Zookeeper port, that thing's great. All right, we got another comment here from Pine Baron Patriot. Forget all the remake junk. The real thing is always better. I have a few more bucket list Sega Genesis games to get before I move on to the Atari Lynx. Man, I used to have a big Atari Lynx collection, and I worked third shift as a drug and alcohol counselor. And dude, Crystal Mines 2, APB. I mean, what are you talking about, man? APB on the Lynx was awesome. And I've got it on this thing here, and it's just without the like a pedal control. It's tough to play, but I do play the Atari Lynx version here. I've got the on this giant arcade monstrosity next to me. I do have APB, the arcade version, and then but it doesn't, it's not playing that great. And then what am I going to say? Oh, I loved Rampart. I thought the best port of Rampart was in the Lynx. I could play that all day. Here we go. Our food guy was back with the food. It was nice. It was be nice if the Game Station Pro controller worked on the 2600 Plus. Wow, I didn't know that it didn't. That's a very interesting. Yeah, it's not an Atari product, but yeah, it's kind of weird that it doesn't. There's a lot of cool. You got to check out John Atari 7800 controller review, because it's pretty much all of them. Everything you can get. I think they were just dipping their toe in the 7800 water with Delta Space Arena. They've announced a few others that look pretty decent. Hopefully, John will like those better. He felt bad. He loved Venture too. He liked Venture a lot more than I did. I think Venture's a stupid game, and he likes Venture, so he gave that a higher review than I did. I thought their Venture was the best Venture I ever played. It's just a funny. It's just a goofy. I think I'm thrown off by the main character sprite. All right, let's move down. Oh, what's new? And the Atari VCS store. Let's talk about that. In the store this week, I still haven't pulled the trigger on Harpy's Curse, and I don't have a good excuse. I've had a crazy week, and I will talk about what's happened to me this week. I can't now because there's possible litigation with something I'm dealing with right now, and I can't talk about it. But I haven't been able to play Harpy's Curse because that's an easy. I'm looking for the ones now where it's an easy. I'll do a video review on the Big and Funky Productions YouTube page. Bada boom, bada bing. Knock out Harpy's Curse. That will be one for 7800 in the VCS, and I want to do that soon. I got to do my Pluto's one first. But Harpy's Curse is on there, and that's pretty new. It's only been up there for about 3 weeks, I think. And it's like a Metroidvania, and it's the same guy that did Dragon's Cash and Dragon's Havoc and Dragon's Descent, Revan Tully. There's a thing called Timeline Mission that was released this last week. If anybody's played that, it looks kind of like Angry Birds, where you're propelling people towards warps. And even when he was selling it on social media, he was like, this isn't for everybody. So that tells me this game's not great. But I'm going to probably, if it's cheap enough, I'll check it out. And then there's something called Mighty Math, which if you want me to not play your game, you just put math in the title. That's going to be a tough sell for me. So that's what's new. Now, there's something else. Please keep the comments coming. And also like and subscribe John's channel and my channel. It'll help us have a nice, fluid dialogue. We have a lot of people watching right now. Atari's new pinball surprise. If you are a subscriber, or I don't know what you, if you follow Atari on Twitter, they have announced they just released something that looks like, I don't even know. It's like the side panel graphics of a pinball game. And I don't know if this was a game, if they're releasing another hardware thing for their website, if this is going to be available on VCS, if this is Steam, but there's some sort of pinball surprise on Tuesday. What is Tuesday's date? The 30th of January. So another Atari release this month. And on the pinball surprise, they have some clues, like for different bonuses and stuff. You know how when you play a pinball game, you want to get as many bonuses and stuff as you can. We got Defend Cities. What does that sound like? Killer Satellites. Again, sounds like Missile Command, the pinball game based on that. But before you get all the way into Missile Command, it also says there's a Mushroom Wave, Scorpion Wave, a Spider Wave, and a Centipede Wave. So it sounds like the pinball game is either a mesh of Centipede and Missile Command, or there's going to be two different tabletops. And so that would be really cool. Now, if this is a hardware thing and they're going to charge a couple $100, good God Almighty, I only have so much money to throw around. Look, these gold chains aren't cheap, man. I can't keep buying new hardware. I'm going to get the 400 soon, the 400 mini soon. But if this is a game for something, that's going to be real. I like pinball games. In fact, if you're watching, the best pinball game for the Atari 2600 Plus is going to be Baby Pac-Man, which is a homebrew of the weird pinball / maze game hybrid arcade game that nobody ever played. Baby Pac-Man is freaking great on the 7800. All right. Does anybody know about the pinball surprise? Anybody got any info? Ramey says they probably did a deal with Zen Pinball. I don't know what Zen Pinball is because I'm stupid. Got to take a couple of seconds for hydration. Thank you very much. Let's go over what's left here on my list, and we'll talk about the rest of the crap here. Delta, we talked about this. Delta Space Arena on John's channel will be attached to the Atari 7800's forever.com. He does not like Delta Space Arena, so if you want to see someone rip somebody's heart out, you can watch that on John's channel. I'm about to do the Plutos review. If you don't know what Plutos is, that was one of those holy grail programs that was discovered, like why I'm doing this podcast. I've been doing articles and reviews and news stories for the Atari 7800 since the early 2000s, almost 2000. And there was a long time where there was just nothing. There was nothing. There was we had nothing to look forward to ever. There was somebody would find a prototype maybe, and then it would disappear, and then somebody would do a stupid homebrew that wasn't any good. And so, the thing that we all hope for were these missing games, and there were a few like Electro Cop and Road Riot and a few like that. Rampart was supposed to be almost finished, and they can't find that one. Rescue and Fractalus was another 7800 game that we were all like, oh boy, get it. And so Plutos was found on an Atari ST that was discarded from Atari headquarters with a game called Sirius. And a couple of guys, and I don't know if it was Kurt Mendel or Lee Rehnquist, or not Lee Kruger, or CPU Wizard. Some of these really smart guys associated with AtariAge worked on it, and got them both to work, and they're both almost finished. There's only a few things they haven't finished. I'm about to do this Plutos. It's a great history piece too, because before the homebrew scene for the 7800 is what it is. Back then, it was very sparse, and you have Bob DeCrescenzo and Ken Siders shooting out something once every blue moon. So yeah, I've got an Atari Mania review. I think that's kind of an important review on my channel, which is the Big and Funky Productions. I've already talked about John's 7800 controller review on his channel ad nauseum, and then Harpy's Curse. We're gonna play that. John beat Madness Beverage last week, and he's got some opinions about that. He's going to come out with his review. And we both were playing Madness Beverage for a while, and mainly the thing that I would say is we can do better voice acting than whatever that was. That was pretty bad. That was half the time the guy sounded like a redneck, and then half the time he sounded like he was from Eastern Europe, and it makes me wonder. I don't know where the game came from. I don't know if the voice actors were from Eastern Europe and they were trying to sound like Serious Sam and Duke Nukem or something. But yeah, you can get an American actor, hello, to do some voices for you. Let's see. I love a good video pinball game. I do too. Hit the like button, guys. Yeah, thank you, man. And if you're not, I don't know where you guys are watching. If you're watching this on Big and Funky Productions, this is kind of strange. We're a team of people combining for the sake of good. If you're on Big and Funky Productions YouTube, go to the Atari Network, John Stoll, and then vice versa. If you're watching the Atari Network, come over to mine, the Big and Funky Productions. Give us a like and a subscribe and a notify. And that way you won't miss our shows when they're live and sexual. A couple more things I picked up in the Atari universe. Avian Knights and Sabretooth was talking about this. Avian Knights is they're having a tournament. I have no idea where that is. If you know where that is, it's a game on the VCS, and he's wishing the luck to Atarians that the Atari VCS team does well. I have no idea what any of this is about. I do know that Avian Knights is a game that's similar to Joust. And they must be having a multiplayer tournament somewhere. I don't know. It's probably not going to be televised. You really like Madness Beverage. Well, I remember a couple of weeks ago you said Madness Beverage was pretty glitchy, and I was like, that was back when I thought Madness Beverage was better than Food Fight, and now I think I flip-flop my opinion because I'm all the time jacked up. Did you play Battle Rockets on VCS? No, I have not. I have a lot of games. I would like to review some of these things for some of these indie people. I just need to get some codes and probably somebody needs to throw me a couple freebies, and I will gladly review them because I have to pick and choose because I also have to get a bigger flash drive. I'm running out of space. I've got like 20 games on there. Was Battle Rockets good? Or you just asked me because you're just curious. Hopefully it will get updated. What are we talking about? Madness? Oh, yeah, Madness. But yeah, I hope so too, for the sake. Because I do think there's something about it I like. There's something about it I don't. And I don't like, when I play a first-person shooter, I don't like shit popping up behind me cheap. Like, when I go in, I'm like, I've never been trained as a cop. I was a bounty hunter for a while. I know I'm not trained as good as a cop. I did go through training. If there's a situation, how you're supposed to come into a room and make sure you don't get jumped from behind or the side. And Madness Beverage is cheap because you can do all the things you're supposed to and make sure you don't jump from behind. All of a sudden, you get hit and you turn around and there's something behind you. And you're like, I cleared that spot. But the mobs in that game just kind of pop up everywhere. And that's just how it is in that universe. If you get a code, will you still bash the heck out of a bad game if you get it for free? Yeah. I mean, the reason I've been around for 20 years is I think people know I'm fair. I I make independent movies, right? And I was pro wrestler, and I released music, and with all without big budgets, and I have a ghost television show that we just aired an episode on our YouTube page last week for free, and we don't have the big budget, so I know like if a small company is making a game and they put soul into it, I'm going to recognize that. If it's a cash grab or they're inept, um, I'm gonna call them out for it. A game that's going to be on the VCS is not going to be equated to Baldur's Gate 3. Okay, I mean I'm not going to sit there and go, well, Baldur's Gate's a 5, so this thing's a 1. Yeah, I kind of, the Atari VCS is a weird landscape. That's why I like it so much. Is there's just like, what are these? These games are all nuts, crazy. So I grade on a curve a little bit, but I'm also like, hey, this could have been better. In fact, somebody wanted me to really check out BPM Boy because BPM Boy was a VCS exclusive, and I'm a Funkmaster and stuff, and they were like, you would like this game. And they had all sorts of. I've played the game. It's very similar to Super Monkey Ball and kind of the Blob and the one-player campaign in Splatoon. However, a huge detriment to that game. And when I do the review, I'm going to say you make a game that's about a DJ and everybody's musical base. The music in that game is horrible. And I'm going to call them out for it, even though the game, especially for an Atari VCS game, is very, very good. It's like, man. That generic music. I know you can't license Earth, Wind, and Fire and Jay-Z and stuff, but you could have came up with better music than that. Someone will hack it to play Atari ST games. That'll be interesting. I've got, like I said, I got this monstrosity arcade machine next to me, and the Atari ST always freezes on this thing. So I would like a chance to play some Atari ST games. My biggest problem is I'm ignorant on what games are the killer apps for the 8-bit Atari 400 and the XC and stuff, and what games are the killer apps in the ST. Are you ready for the Royal Rumble on Saturday? What's weird is I don't watch wrestling at all. I'm good at wrestling. And I miss it from I'm so old, I missed like the 80s and the 70s and the early 90s stuff. I just don't watch it anymore unless I'm invited to a party. I do have wrestler friends. I went up to Chicago. There's a lot of guys who are famous from up there that you might have known, but CM Punk's brother was there, who he can't stand CM Punk, and the fabulous Tomaselli brothers, and a bunch of people from Chicago that were popular in Juggalo Championship Wrestling, and they wrestled for WWE. My tag team partner himself, he's wrestled for WWE and ECW and that kind of stuff. I've never done that. I'll go and watch wrestling up there with them sometimes. Now, what's interesting, if you subscribe, Ramey, to my channel, me and my tag team partner were in charge of doing a Fox wrestling show, and we're going from 2015, and we're going to start every month. We're going to start, I guess it may be like the fourth. It's going to end up being close to like the fourth Friday of the month. We're going to release an episode that we booked, and it was a horrible disaster, that show. And so we're kind of going to watch this wrestling show be a debacle, and all the things we couldn't control, and how we got blamed for a lot of stuff that wasn't our fault. And it's going to be fun for me. It's going to be cathartic, but I had a lot of fun doing that show, even though a lot of people didn't. Thanks for answering. You're welcome. It's not easy to find good, honest, critical VCS game reviews. I know. Yeah, there's a guy. He's wanting me to review Doodle Taxi. I've got a lot of stuff going on too. I've got movies and being a father and a husband, and I've got 2 small Shih Tzus, and I'm on a ghost TV show. So it's hard for me to, and I do gig work for computer stuff and production stuff. It's hard for me to have a lot of time and there's a guy that wants me to. He watches the show sometimes. He's a really cool guy. He worked on Doodle Taxi, and Doodle Taxi is a game that I should like because I own a taxi cab company. However, the game is lacking in a lot of ways, and I got to get to that. And he's asked me to review that for months now, and he's probably not going to like my score, even though it's technically not a great, not a bad game, but it's just not very fun. Also, a legit 2600 joystick with USB is interesting. Yeah, I think they're going to release that. I really don't know how professional wrestlers don't get hurt like that. Well, I can show you some crazy stuff here. I can put right there. I've got busted out teeth. I could shut my mouth, put a finger in my mouth. Busted out teeth. I blew out my knee. Tore my rotator cuff. My knee still is like, if I play kids in basketball, it never hurts when I play basketball. When I play basketball, I'll feel something like somebody stabbing my knee with a knife. I used to be a semi-pro basketball player too. I can't play basketball really like I used to. Well, who can? But I'm worse. I love old school wrestling too, baby. And that's what we did. If you watch, it's going to be Great American Wrestling on our channel on those Fridays. We were trying to incorporate Memphis wrestling into modern working, and people had a hard time. Let's see. Already sub disco. Thank you. Agree with Greg on the USB joystick. Absolutely. I did not like Doodle Taxi at all. The art style was good, but the game was not good. Well, I mean, that's when we're talking about reviewing stuff. You know, Crazy Taxi came out, 16 years ago. I can take, if a game is rudimentary, it's got to play good. So if a game it plays like, the indie, everything looks like 8-bit shit kind of stuff that people are releasing, like it's a style, I can deal with that. But again, we'll go back to my review of Atari Mania. Atari Mania was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. However, one of the worst parts of it was the graphics. I know they were trying to do a rudimentary graphical style. However, it didn't look like an Atari 2600 game. It looked like some crazy mix between the two. And also, the asteroids, Gravitar, and combat ships controlled like hell. They didn't control like the Atari 2600. Other than that, good game. I finally beat it. I couldn't beat the last boss. I felt like a crazy person for a while. I was like, am I terrible at video games? But I finally beat the last boss and redeemed Bentley Bear for the land. But yeah, so my point is with Doodle Taxi, Crazy Taxi came out 15 years ago, and we're not even close to how good. And I know that's a Sega game, but there's just a lot of issues that I had. I do like, again, I own a taxi cab company. I do like the idea of having a witch curse you, because I've had a witch in the car curse me before and try to curse me and fucking disappeared. It was a crazy story. Like, she vanished. So that story or that game is like, oh man, I almost had this. Now I can see colors and shit. I'm going blind in my left eye. That might have been her. I don't know. Fuck. Grew up with Memphis wrestling. Good stuff, man. Yo, yo, yo. Hey, we just put over your controller. You're gonna have to watch the joystick, Hugo, and we just talked about your controller. He said he's going to send me a controller you made with Fuji on it. I thought that looked slick as shit. But actually, I think I made a mistake, because your controller with the smaller controller with the buttons, I think that thing looks awesome. I'm old. I'm old too, baby. Elton John is on the podcast. I did not buy Doodle Taxi. I wasn't being fooled. Well, again, it's how much these things go. I mean, if for $5, it's worth a twirl. Do you think Atari Mania is worth spending $25 on digital? I don't. I think that game should be around $9 to $15. I enjoyed it. And again, on my review, I think it's important because I think that was when Atari it gives me hope, guys, because it's not just a nostalgia thing. Like it's WarioWare, where God damn this hat. Uh, it's like WarioWare in a way, but it combines all the classic games. And if you watch my review, when I was a child, I'm talking elementary school, I remember this vividly. I had a dream that you could take cartridges in this machine and you could put Pac-Man and Pitfall and he could shoot Space Invaders. And it's kind of like that. It's like my dream come true. I should have dreamt a better dream about women with huge boobs and $1 million bills flying everywhere. But it's an interesting thing to see that something you dreamed as a kid kind of coming to fruition. And I liked it. I thought the graphics kind of sucked, and it's challenging though. And I thought the controls for Gravatar and Asteroids of Combat sucked, but other than that, pretty good. Again, you've got to, and there's little problems. Like there's certain things that don't act right. Like in Crystal Castles, when you jump over the little walking trees, they don't freeze. There's little things like that. It's like it was programmed by somebody who looked at a lot of Atari games instead of played a lot of Atari games. That's my bigger problem. But again, I think it's worth $15, $20. It just was on sale. All these games were on sale recently. Jerome! It looked like it had good potential, but no, I guess we're talking about what? Doodle Taxi. I love Atari Mania and the graphics. I still haven't beat Atari Mania yet. Well, the last boss is tough. You can't get hit at all, and it's kind of cheap, I think. But can the VCS handle PSP games? Because the PSP minis are awesome and they're not being used. Yeah, I mean the thing about the VCS is the computer. There's I don't know if it's Atari and Beyond on Facebook, or I think there's a guy who all day is like, I'm playing Doom from the Sega 32X on Jaguar. I'm playing, or on VCS. I'm playing Alien versus Predator from the Atari Jaguar on the VCS. And you go into computer mode, and you can pretty much do anything you want, especially a PSP game. Yeah, I don't think that would be a problem at all. And that's why it confuses me that Atari doesn't release Lunar Lander, because that doesn't look like it's okay. You got some cartoons, maybe some voice acting. It doesn't look like it's going to blow the machine up to play Lunar Lander or QOMP 1 or 2 or Pawn Quest. So if these guys, I've heard people from Atari are watching stuff. Put those games out, guys. What are you doing? I don't think it'd take. Were you disappointed that Atari Mania didn't use the spinner control on the classic joystick? Not really, because you're no, because it is a conflation of different game styles. So you would need one, because if you started doing dual joysticks, spinner, fucking trackball, joystick, it would be too weird. So I think it's okay. I mean, I've played Crazy Bricks for the 7800 with a joystick. I've played Tempest with a joystick. So I played Crystal Castles on the 2600 with a joystick. That was fine. Obsidian is in late, and we were just talking about Doodle Taxi. Don't go back and look, because we were kind of being mean to it. But I will say, I will review Doodle Taxi and give you my honest opinion with love. And it wasn't a terrible game, but I have played it more. It was weird. I did Obsidian. Obsidian is a fellow that worked on Doodle Taxi. The game glitched one day, and it gave me the in-game graphics. You know how you're supposed to restore the whole land to color? It played in full color. And then when I turned it off and went back and turned it on, it went back to being black and white. Thought that was interesting. Why do you think Atari is not making Lunar Lander or Beyond for the VCS? I have no idea. I know it's a new company, or a different company. It's not Digital Eclipse, and it's not Sneaky Box, and it's not some of these independent guys. Who's the other? There's another kind of somebody that's helping out, Adam Division or something. It's called Dream. Dreams Incorporated, and Epic Games. So they may not have the BIOS or anything to actually program it. I just think if I was Atari, get one of your lackeys in the dungeon to fucking port that over. Hey, Obsidian, John is out, so Funkmaster is a one-man show. I'm losing my voice now. I'm feeling sad. I think Lunar Lander is a more storage issue with the VCS. You get a scan, you get a little flash card, and slap it in there, and you don't have any problems. I mean, I've got 20-something games on there right now, and I had to use a USB, but I got to go buy another one. But I'm also confused with why some of these games are so large, because it doesn't make sense. Mr. Hugo went back to the start of the podcast. I can send you some controllers directly, Vinny. That way you can have one of your own. Well, John has sent me the black one with the Fuji that's shaped like an NES controller that he just did a review on. I want that freaking thick-looking bad boy. I like my women thick and my controllers thick, man. I like that sassy-looking little controller there with the huge freaking buttons. Oh, my God. I dig the hat. Well, thank you. This is where all the color went. The witch took the color from the world, Doodle Taxi World, put it in the hat. Now the taxi driver's got to go get my hat. A lot of people are like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm definitely going to upgrade my Atari VCS. I hope they keep promoting. That's one thing that I wanted to say in this podcast. I hope they keep supporting it. It seemed like it was going good there for a minute, and then it's just kind of pooped. Storage is not an issue. You can just let yeah. I agree with that. So gamepad. I've got the gamepad. I'm talking about the joystick with the thick buttons. That's the one I need. I'd be okay with a late release of Lunar Lander Beyond if it's a matter of it's going to run. Better late than never. Exactly. And frankly, right now, what I'm doing with the VCS is I've got all 10 recharge games, and I'm trying to crack the top 25 on each. I want to do the top 10. The people in Cavern of Mars, I don't know how I got to watch somebody play that game. I cannot figure it out. But I'm in the top 10 on like 3 different games. Freaking Cavern of Mars, forget about it. I don't know. They're funky looking. I like how your controller's laid out. We're talking about Hugo is releasing 2-button controllers for the Atari 2600 Plus and 7800, and they're in the early stages. But John had them on the Atari Network controller review for the 7800, and they looked cool, man. I mean, I love the big thick one with the buttons on the reverse side. It looked interesting. I like to try it out. Games like the Atari 50 had to be downloaded to the hard drive on the VCS, though. Yeah. My biggest thing on that, too, is their best game on that collection of the VCS doesn't play right. I mean, Tempest 2000 doesn't play worth a shit. You couldn't use the USB for the Atari 50. I saw your name on the leaderboards. That's right, baby. I'm coming up. I'm out there. I got my little box cut knife. Got my brass knuckles, baby. I'm coming up. I'm trying. At one point, I was number 1 in Berserk, and I was number 2 at Quantum Recharge, but that was short-lived. So yeah, and I forgot the whole damn thing, man. Let me see. I don't even think I put a banner up for this. Let me do this real quick. Talk amongst yourselves. Boop, boop, boop. All right, here we go. Pretend that didn't happen. Food fight tournament. We talked about this a while ago. So we're looking for 8 competitors. John and me and 6 of our best friends are going to play in a food fight tournament, and the top 3 are going to win prizes. Now, we haven't decided what the grand prize is for the second place, but I know third place, you're going to get a couple of my movies. I'll show you so you get salivating, because these are award-winning feature films, honeys. Let's see. Here's one. Here's one we're going to give away. And I'm not giving that one away. And These are some of the same. So anyway, some of our award-winning movies here: The Hike and WJCAM, maybe Camp Smokey, which is a brand new release. That's third place. We're going to get a couple of them movies there for your DVD collection if you guys still have DVDs. But anyway, they're nice, and we will autograph those. The stars of that's going to be the third place prize. We're still working out what I think maybe the first or second place prize is going to be a Gravatar 2600 in the box, and I'm looking at something from my collection that's pretty special to give away for first place. So, how you join is you message John either on Facebook or through his channel, the Atari Network. Message him and say you're interested in playing in the tournament. It's going to be on a Saturday coming up, and we were going to announce it today, but he's sick. So in the next 2 weeks or so, next 2 Saturdays or so, we're going to play Food Fight, and we're going to have to figure out, since the Atari's so lame, they say player 1, player 2, player 3, player 4, we're going to figure out a way. Everybody's going to have to look different, and we're going to have some sort of communication. We can figure that out easily. So we're going to have 8 guys going toe-to-toe, knife fight, get a hold of John, and just make sure you can show up and play. Make sure you have Atari VCS. Make sure you have good internet connection. Make sure you have Food Fight and practice, because I kicked John's ass all night long because I used to play Splatoon all the time. And John was talking big noise. He was talking big noise, and I heard him. I know I heard him. I could hear it in his voice. So I hope you win. I hope you get that red Gravatar. All right, let's see what we got here. So yeah, and we're gonna make a lot of like TikTok and stuff announcements and stuff. So the first few people that want to play, just yell at us. All right, here we go. I like shows like this, interactive chat. Thumbs up. Thank you. And this show's a lot better with John here. John is the yin to my yang. I'm kind of the asshole. He's a nice guy. Funkmaster, I did get an Aladdin controller. I know you have a few. Do you use it most of the time or with arcade games? Boy, that's a great question. They made me a special one, and I love it. And I've got hooked up right now to the Plutos. And normally with shooters, I use the Seagull adapter and a Genesis pad. But I really, 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 for Plutos, like this, the Aladdin Super Twin Stick controller. I've got the twin stick. It's actually right behind me. You probably can't see it, but it's the double joystick. Pardon me. Indigestion now. All right. Nice. Thumbs up. Do you guys not have a Discord server? Dude, look at me, man. Hugo, why don't you look at me? Now, normally my hair looks a little sexy in this. I got the Kurt Russell thing going on. I'm an old man. Discord to me looks like DOS. And I know look at my fucking hat did in my head, didn't he? I know I make movies and I got all the women trying to grab at my pants and stuff. But dude, like technology-wise, this is why me and John have a show together, because everybody else with Atari, they're all these nerds. They're these magnificent programming, open up the computer and fix soldering. I can't do none of that shit, man. Discord throws me through a loop. We'll figure it out. Maybe I will get one. I'm definitely getting a new Food Fight. I just haven't done it yet because I bought a bunch of games over the holidays. Me too, pal. I got to go back. Someone said Food Fight has broken online names. It just says, from what me and John found out, when me and John were playing about 2 or 3 or 4 weeks ago, we had a great time, by the way. We were playing each other. It just said player 1, player 2. And then we had a couple other guys come in, and we just beat the fuck out of them guys. But they were player 3 and player 4. But it doesn't say like Funkmaster and John or, all that stuff. Have you tried your Atari light gun on the 2600 Plus? I don't have the Atari 2600 Plus because I got an Atari 700. I mean, that's what John has one. And that, we talked about this new 4-player I don't know if you heard about this. The new 4-player light gun game for the 7800, which has tons of heart and bravo for the attempt, it looks like. But anyway, no, I have not. I mean, the light gun is terrible for the 7800. I can't imagine. Jesus. That's interesting. I think these things have to work on CRT TVs. Have John do it. Okay, I will. See, that's funny, man. John, seriously, we say this on the show, and I bust his balls all the time. But John, 6 or 7 months ago, did not have any real confidence to start a YouTube page, and now he's monetized. I mean, in 6 months, he's done a great job. So he's like, how do you do thumbnails? How do you do StreamYard? How do you do what? And dude, now he's got. If you watch his show, his thumbnails are good. They're interesting. He's gotten. This is what's sad. He's gotten merchandise he was wanting to pitch for you guys. Atari T-shirts, Atari Network mugs and stuff. And he couldn't do it tonight because he's pooping his pants. Now he's going to have Atari Network diapers. However, a game that really surprised me was Groundskeeper 2. I don't know what that is. Is that on the VCS? Very fun, quick game. Very addictive. I'll check that out. That's one thing, man. We get a lot of games, dude. That's all I can say is an influx of new stuff. Well, guys, I'm sorry John isn't here. And, man, you guys were awesome. Thank you so much for being in the chat and making this not just me looking at the camera. I could have done it, but I would have felt weird about it. You guys made this a show, and we want this to grow. You know, John's actually on my case a little bit now. He's like, this is the worst viewed stuff I do is the podcast. And I'm like, I'm sorry, boss. It's funny how somebody can change in 7 months. And he's like, hey, we need this podcast to grow, or I'm getting kind of frustrated with it. And I'm like, don't be frustrated with it. He's not really being that jerky, but he's like, you know, hey, what can we do to improve this? And I'm like, hell if I know, I think we're doing good. I've never been part of the podcast that this kind of live chat all the way through, and I think you guys are great. But don't listen to John. John's just getting grumpy in his old age, and he's getting greedy. But yeah, if you guys can help, like and subscribe and notify, hit the bell. So when we're doing a live, you can jump in here when you guys aren't rolling around with your nerdy girlfriends or whatever you do, your wives on Friday nights. Neo Sprint sucks. John likes it. Love the show tonight. Wish I hadn't been in the store for almost the entire episode. Looking forward to the next one. And watch it again. I don't know. Hell, I'm sorry about that too, man. Big update coming soon for Neo Sprint. Added Zoom. It's nice. Now, see, now you're going to get me off in an angry. The Neo Sprint makes me angry. And the reason it does is on this monstrosity here that I can play Badlands, and Badlands is awesome. Sprintmaster, awesome. I can play it on this. Ivan Stewart's off-road racing. I can play on this. Awesome. And I play it spinner. Listen to it. The Neo Sprint mess on the VCS, dude, is a nightmare. I wish I could go back over there and strangle somebody and tell them to redo it. But I'll give it a shot. I like Neo Sprint in the beginning. It's irritating me over time. You guys are doing great. Well, thanks, Hugo. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know, we get about 300 to 400 views. And he's putting these things on Spotify and stuff, so we're getting a little bit extra. So we're just trying to spread the good word of Atari and take over the Atari podcast, the official Atari podcast. For those Zoomers, they're okay. Should I say this? Nah, I don't know. Dude, I took a screenshot of that Atari podcast. You had somebody doing this. You had somebody doing this. Somebody was doing this. And the guest was doing this. Because she was talking. Because it's a girl. You've been around girls, right? It looked like they were sitting there talking about who's going to buy whose cemetery plot for grandma or something. I mean, it was low energy. Love you, Atari. We can do better than them kids. I don't know what in the hell them Zit boys and girls are doing on that show. I bought Needle Spray on sale over the holidays. I really want to like it. Me too. I think it's a great idea. I think it's cool to resurrect that franchise. Needle Spray was on sale for $7.50. Is that too much? Woo! I'd buy it now because my man just said, Obsidian just said, he said they're going to update it. So, yeah, if they're going to update it, man, they may fix it. They seem to improve it a little bit each time. I want to watch one of your movies. I haven't done it yet. Go to Tubi. I just got good news, man. Today, I talked to my distributor. Tubi is going to have all 4 of our movies very soon. They've got The Hike and they've got WJC, which is about, it's really a true story about when I moved down south and had to get a radio, and I wanted to be a disc jockey. The only place that would hire me was a Southern Gospel radio station. So it's a lot of those guys from the East Coast trying to figure out what in the world's happening with the Pentecostal style gospel stuff going on. And then during Y2K, Jesus comes back, and then everybody gets starting to be eaten alive. So it's a horror comedy. It was the highest rated horror comedy of 2022. And then we got Camp Smokey, which is a really original movie coming out that you'll like that too. I did see some of the paranormal when you did. It looked really cool. Yeah, we did my channel last Friday. Thank you for that. I watched the whole thing. We found a ghost light, which is really freaky. The reason a ghost light is crazy is it really is a paranormal ball of energy just floating out in the middle of nowhere, sitting there for like 10 minutes and then until it vanishes. Or there's a psychopath weirdo in the middle of nowhere at 2 a.m. with some sort of light just standing there shining at you. Either way, it's creepy. I don't care if you believe in ghosts or not. Ghost lights, when you catch them, are bizarre. Happy Atari Day on the 26th of every month. We remember to wear something Atari. Strike up a conversation and share a game. It's a great way to introduce family and friends to the world of Atari. The 26th? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was wearing my hat today. What's up, girl? You got to go? Well, I got to go. Oh, here's my new Shih Tzu. Thank you, Fenbot 3000. Now, my women on the mothership are all robots, but the Shih Tzus are real. Because robot dogs aren't fun unless they poop and pee. Where is the best place to buy your Blu-ray movies? It was on my website, and I haven't switched it over. You can go to Amazon, Amazon.com. Look up Vinny Vineyard. You can find them. Or if you want to research it, you can go to bigandfunkyproductions.com, and you can find out. You like being on TV, don't you? You can find out. There's 4 movies right now. Next week, we're going to keep writing the 5th one, which is going to be wild. I watch a lot of paranormal stuff. Well, cool. Every month on Big and Funky Fridays, we're going to release a new Wrestling with Ghosts. Dude, we captured some crazy evidence on our team, dude. My girl will die for that dog. Dude, I'm surrounded by women on this mothership, and they die constantly over these Shih Tzus. Will you ever do a Bigfoot movie? Now, probably not Bigfoot, because we like doing stuff that's a little left of center. What we're doing now is we're making 6 movies about the legends and lore of the Great Smoky Mountains. The first movie, The Hike, is about the legend of Spearfinger. Look that up. Before we made that movie, nobody knew what Spearfinger was. And then when we made that movie, it's crazy. Our lead actress in that movie portrayed Spearfinger, which is a Native American bad guy legend. She's a chick that changes her shape, and she has a big, long obsidian finger, and she pokes people. She can look like your grandmother or a little kid or somebody you want to screw, and she can eat you. And that's what they believe. She had a big, long spear finger. So we made a movie about her, and now there's all this information about Spearfinger. So I think it's kind of cool, kind of bringing some of these cryptids and legends. The third movie, Camp Smokey, is about a legend, which is a secret. You don't really realize what's going on until the end. And we're doing one called Rabbit Man, who was a guy who actually killed a bunch of kids because they were abusing his rabbits. And he was nuts. but probably not Bigfoot. Well, guys, I love you with God's love and believe in the funk. And this dog smells like pee-pee. You know, she's cute. Actually, she smells good there. Different parts of her smell weird. Send John a message this week. Tell him you hope he feels better. And yeah, and if you want to play in that food fight tournament, please get a hold of John, and he'll figure out a way. He's a smart boy. He'll figure out a way to get us all communicating together. How about a movie, Attack of the Melungeons? All right, this is the last thing I want to respond to. Weirdly enough, hello. Weirdly enough, tonight, John was sick. I was going to get a guy named J. Funk Collins on the show, but he called me when the show was rolling. Like I couldn't do it. I couldn't patch him in because I was already doing the show. Now, J. Funk was an old drummer of mine when I played in funk and hip hop bands. And he actually likes VR games, and he played Atari 1978 Pixel Rift. He liked it, and I was going to have him on the show talking about that VR game. But it was last minute, and I couldn't swing it. But J. Funk, Jason is his name, but J. Funk is a Melungeon. He's a weird dude. He's got one big ear, one little ear. He's got them glasses. You see them guys with the Coke bottle glasses. He's got like red hair when he had hair, and he had like black, kinky hair. So there's no telling what kind of race we were up in his jive. But yeah, and if you look it up, Collins is the most common surname for a Melungeon. So interesting fellow. He knew. Speaking of the paranormal stuff, he knew a seventh son. And if you've ever looked up what a seventh son was, old mountain magic believed that seventh sons could heal people and change the weather and turn buttermilk into milk and all sorts of crazy stuff. A lot of blues singers back in the day used to sing about it. Man, what are you trying to do? Get in my beard? You're not the only person up here trying to do that. You ought to read Tennessee Stud's book. I know Tennessee Stud. I know a lot about that guy. I know it's funny. I know most wrestlers that, not the new ones, but the ones from the 80s and 90s. The new ones I don't know. All right, guys, I love you. This dog is trying to make out with me, and I'm not into bestiality. You can tell that in our movies. We're always talking about how bestiality is also an awful thing. Yeah, man. So next week, we got wrestling stuff on Big Funky Productions YouTube page. You go to Atari7800forever.com. This week, we'll have a review of Pluto's, Delta Space Arena, and probably I can't remember. Or maybe Harpy's Curse, too. So we'll see what we can do. All right, honey. Stop it. Good grief.